Beauty and the Beast, Part 1. A long time ago, in a faraway land, a merchant was returning home after a long journey. As night fell, he entered a deep forest. His head was full of thoughts of his 6 daughters. He had left home in summer, and now he was returning in deep winter. The most bitter sleet and snow came down, and his horse stumbled on a patch of ice. He heard wolves howling, and soon he realized that he was lost. At last, he saw some sort of track. At the beginning, it was rough and slippery, but soon it led him into an avenue of orange trees covered with flowers and fruit. But here, there was no snow. He saw a flight of stone steps. He went up them into a great castle. Inside, he passed through several splendid rooms. Everywhere in the castle, there was a deep silence. At last, he stopped in a small room where a fire was burning. He lay down on a couch and very soon fell into a sweet sleep. He woke up feeling hungry. He was still alone, but a good dinner had been laid on the little table. He began to eat, hoping that he might soon have a chance to thank his kind host, whoever it might be, but no one appeared. Then he went down into the garden, and though it was winter everywhere else, here the sun shone, and the birds sang, and the flowers bloomed, and the air was soft and sweet. The path had an edge of roses on each side of it, and the merchant thought he had never seen or smelled such beautiful flowers. Then he remembered a promise he had made to his youngest daughter, who was so lovely that everyone knew her as Beauty. Before setting out on his journey, he had asked his daughters what presents they would like him to bring back for them. The 5 eldest wished for jewels and fine clothes, but Beauty asked only for a single rose. Now he had stopped to pick a rose to take home to Beauty. He was startled by a strange noise behind him. Turning around, he saw a frightful, ugly beast, which seemed to be very angry and sad, and said in a terrible voice, "Who said that you could pick my roses? Was it not enough that I let you stay in my palace and was kind to you? This is the way you thank me? By stealing my flowers. You shall not go unpunished." The merchant was terrified by these furious words. He dropped the fatal rose and, throwing himself on his knees, cried, "Pardon me, noble sir. I am truly grateful to you for your kindness. I could not imagine that you would mind so much if I took such a little thing as a rose." The beast was still furious, however, and cried, "Excuses and flattery will not save you from the death you deserve." "Alas," thought the merchant, "my daughter's rose has put me in this terrible danger." He began to tell the beast of his journey, not forgetting to mention how Beauty has asked him for a rose. "I beg you to forgive me, for I meant no harm," he pled. The beast thought for a moment, and then he said in a less terrible voice, "I will forgive you on one condition. That is, if you will give me one of your daughters." "Ah!" cried the merchant. "What excuse could I invent to bring her here?" "No excuse," answered the beast. "She must come willingly. Go home. I give you a month to see if one of your daughters will serve you. If none of them is willing to come to me, you must come back alone. Do not think that you can hide from me, for if you do not keep your word, I will come and fetch you." The poor merchant, more dead than alive, went to the stable where his horse was ready for his journey. It carried him off so swiftly that in an instant he had lost sight of the palace, and he was still wrapped in gloomy thoughts that it stopped before the door of his house. His daughters rushed to meet him. At first, he told them nothing of the beast, but as he gave Beauty her rose, he said sadly, "Here is what you asked me to bring you. You little know what it has cost." Later, that evening, he told his family of his adventures from beginning to the end, and then his daughters wept loudly. The girls were very angry with Beauty and said to her that it is all her fault, and complained bitterly that they should have to suffer for his foolish wish. Poor Beauty said to them, "Who could have guessed that asking for a rose in the middle of summer would cause so much misery? But as I made this mistake, it is only right that I should be the one to suffer for it. I will go back to the Beast with father." When the fated day came, he said goodbye to her sisters and everything she loved. She mounted a horse together with her father, and it seemed to fly rather than gallop. They soon reached the avenue of orange trees, where statues were holding flaming torches, and when they got nearer to the palace, music sounded softly from the courtyard. Her father led her to the little room where he had stayed, and there they found a splendid fire burning and a delicious supper set out on the table. After they had finished their meal, they heard the Beast's footsteps approaching, and Beauty clung to her father. When the ugly Beast appeared, she tried hard to hide her terror, and she nodded to him politely. This clearly pleased the Beast. After looking at her, he said, in a voice that might have struck fear into the boldest of hearts, "Good evening, old man. Good evening, Beauty." The merchant was too terrified to reply, but Beauty answered sweetly, "Good evening, Beast." "Have you come willingly?" asked the Beast. Beauty answered bravely that she had come willingly to save her father. "I am pleased with you. As for you, old man," he added, turning to the merchant, "at sunrise tomorrow you will go." Then, turning to Beauty, he said, "Take your father into the next room and help him to choose presents for your sisters. Take everything they would wish for." Then he left them saying, "Goodbye, Beauty. Goodbye, old man." In the next room, they found splendid dresses fit for a queen. When Beauty opened the cupboards, she was quite dazzled by the gorgeous jewels that lay heaps upon every shelf. After choosing a vast quantity, she opened the last chest, which full of gold. "I think, father," she said, "that gold will be more useful to you. We had better take out of other things again and fill the trunks with gold." So they did this, and at last the trunks were so heavy that an elephant could not have carried them. "The Beast was making fun of us," cried the merchant. "He pretended to give us these things, knowing that I couldn't carry them away." "Let us wait and see," answered Beauty. At sunrise, they went down into the courtyard, where two horses were waiting, one loaded with the two trunks, the other for the merchant to ride. As soon as he climbed into the saddle, he went off at such a pace that Beauty lost sight of him in an instant. Then she began to cry, and she went back to her room and fell into a deep sleep. She dreamed that she was walking by a stream when a young prince came up to her and said, in a voice that went straight to her heart, "Ah, Beauty, you are not so unlucky as you suppose. Only try to find me, no matter how I may disguise, as I love you dearly. Make me happy, and you shall be happy. Be as true-hearted as you are beautiful, and we shall have nothing left to wish for." "What can I do, Prince, to make you happy?" said Beauty. "Do not trust your eyes," he answered, "and set me free from my misery." When Beauty awoke, he began to think about the charming prince that she had seen in her dream. "He said that I could make him happy," said Beauty to herself. "It seems that this horrible beast keeps him a prisoner. How can I set him free? I don't understand it. After all, it was only a dream, so why should I worry about it?" She got up to explore the castle, but she did not see anyone or hear any sound, and she began to find it rather dull. Only that evening, after supper, she heard the beast coming, and she trembled with fear at what it might do. But he only said, "Good evening, Beauty." She answered cheerfully and managed to hide her terror. He spoke politely to her for about an hour, and asked her for all about her life with her family. Then he said in a gruff voice, "Do you love me, Beauty? Will you marry me?" "Oh, what shall I say?" cried Beauty, for she was afraid to make the Beast angry by refusing. "Say yes or no without fear," he replied. "Oh, no, Beast," said Beauty hastily. "Since you will not, good night, Beauty," he said. And she answered, "Good night, Beast," very glad to find that he had not attacked her. After he was gone, she was very soon in bed asleep and dreaming of her unknown prince. He came to her and said to her, "Ah, Beauty, why are you so unkind to me? I fear I will be unhappy for many a long day still." End of part 1.